We're now joined by the Longhorn coach, Steve Sarkisian. Coach, welcome to the Big 12 and your thoughts about the upcoming contests.
Well, first of all, welcome. It's great to have a full-fledged Big 12 Media Day. It's exciting. It's exciting that football's back. It's exciting that we're going to have full stadiums again, and players get to play in front of their friends and family and alumni, which I think is tremendous for the sport, tremendous for our fan bases, and all of which that college football means, I think, to our country. So excited about that. I can't believe it's been 6.5 months. I've been on the job here. There's been a lot that's gone on in a 6.5-month time of hiring a new coaching staff, implementing a strength and conditioning program, implementing new schemes on offense, defense, and special teams, recruiting. But probably the biggest thing I've been most impressed with for me in our time here has been the buy-in from our players. I love the buy-in that we have. We've got a roster that I think is one that is more than capable of being competitive at a high level. I've done a full rebuild before. This is my third time around of being a head coach, and to inherit this team coming off a 7-3 season with 3 losses by a combined 13 points is something that we're in a little better position than most when you take over a new program. So there's been a lot of work put in. We still got a lot of work to do, but I love where we're at, and I love the mindset of our team at this point of developing a team-first mentality, which I think our players have bought into and are kind of making come to life now in the summer. So got work to do, obviously, here getting ready for training camp, and then ultimately getting ourselves set up for our season opener September 4th against Louisiana.
Got a question on the outside right, if you'd please stand up.
Yes, Steve, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Texas, obviously a big-time program, lots of tradition, lots of chances for success, but they've struggled over the last ever how many years. As an outsider, did you look and try to figure out why things weren't working great in Austin? And since the 6 months you've been on the job, have you discovered what some of the secrets might be?
Well, I think at the end of the day, when you think of the University of Texas, you think of resources, you think of great recruiting and recruitability, all those things, big stadiums, great education. The point I've been trying to make is focus on us and what we're doing, and not necessarily what didn't work before, but what are we going to do to make it work this time. And the point of all of that is we can't sit back and relax and think because we've got a great stadium, because we've got great resources, because we've got the 5-star, 4-star players, that we just sprinkle a little magical fairy dust and all of a sudden we're a really good football team. Winning is hard, and winning takes work, and winning takes perseverance, winning takes grit, winning takes great teamwork and great leaders and great teammates and an awesome culture. And those are all the things that we're working on to make sure that we put ourselves in position to be as successful as we can be, not even just for the short term, but for the long term. And I think that's where I say that I like the buy-in from our players because ultimately they're buying into that mindset and that philosophy, and which is hard to do in this day and age because we are in a me and an I world of social media and internet and phones and things like that. So to get our team to buy into a team-first mentality, because through team success comes individual accolades, I think our players really understand that, and they're doing it together. I think they're enjoying the process of it all, and the direct result of it is, we should have a pretty good football team come the fall.
We have a question on the aisle about halfway back.
Hey, Coach. Will Blessing, Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma. You mentioned doing a full rebuild with this team. With your past national championship experience, how do you plan on taking that past success and translating it into the Texas program and potentially beat OU this fall?
Well, I think, ultimately I guess coached in 4 national championship games now in my career, won 2 and lost 2. And the reality of it is the best teams I've been part of were really competitive, played for one another, and we're teams. You know, it wasn't a group of really good individuals. They played as a team, and I think ultimately that's what we're trying to instill in our players. Is, you know, we've got a lot of talented individuals, and ultimately we're building a team, and it's an ongoing process, and that's going to continue to grow and continue to build. You know, since I've come now, we have 32 new faces in that locker room, right? We have 6 transfers on board to go with 26 incoming freshmen. So that's a lot of new faces that we need to implement into our team. And the best teams that win at a high level, that win big games, understand the level of consistency needed on a daily basis to push one another as like-minded individuals to drive for more and more and more, but ultimately execute at the critical moments, and that the moment doesn't ever become too big. And so whether it's, you know, playing OU or in a national championship or a Big-12 championship, whatever that may be, the bigger the game really shouldn't matter to us, because that's just who we are on a daily basis. And so that's what we're trying to instill in our team.
We got a question on the front, and then we'll move to the back.
It's Anwar Richardson from Orange Blood Tape. Coach, you accepted a job where the fan base defines success by winning Big 12 titles and competing for national titles. So I'm curious, for your definition, what's a successful season at Texas?
Well, I think one, you have to recognize when you accept a job, you accept all of the job. And, you know, like I said, this is my 3rd go around at doing this head coaching thing. And you don't accept a job and you only get part of the job. You get all of the job. And at the University of Texas, the expectations are very high. The standard, the bar is set very high. So, A, you have to embrace it and understand what they are. The next part of that is okay, understand what they are, but then what are you doing to try to achieve what is that standard, what is that bar, what are those expectations? So for us, ultimately, success is our style of play, who we are as a program, the consistency we do it with. Do we play the same from week 1 to week 8, or do we fluctuate? Do we have highs, do we have lows? Can we find that level of consistency? Do we play really well as a team, or are we playing as individuals? So there's a lot that goes into this. It's easy to look at a number and say X number of wins is successful, or winning a championship is successful. That's the easy part. But for me as a coach, I'm looking at it from a daily basis. What do we look like? Are we growing? Are we getting better as a team? Are we understanding why we're doing the things that we're doing? And can the players say why we're doing the things that we're doing? And when we start to answer the whys and why the team first mentality is so important, then it starts to resonate to who we are on the field and how we go about our business. So, you know, success is going to be the level of consistency in which we do things here come the fall.
We got a question in the rear left.
Hey, Coach. Carter Yates with the Daily Texan. You're talking about the importance of buy-in and how impressed you've been with your team for their buy-in through the spring. Who are a few specific guys who really stood out to you through the spring, through the summer practice, as being leaders on this team and really relaying your message?
Yeah, it's a really cool question. You know, we have 2 guys here with me today that I think are at the forefront of that. In Bijan Robinson at running back and Keandre Coburn at defensive tackle. But we've got more than that. We've got, you know, a few different DBs. Deshaun Jameson, Josh Thompson have been tremendous. Jordan Winnington has been tremendous at wide receiver. Christian Jones, Denzel Okafor, Derek Kerstetter. Man, I feel like I'm leaving people out. David Benda, DeMarvion Overshone. I mean, we've got a great deal of guys that have really stepped up and bought in, that were carryovers from the last team. And then we've got this really cool implementation of a couple transfers. And when you look at a Ray Thornton, and you look at a Ben Davis, you look at an OV, I mean, all 3 of these guys have either won national championships or competed in the college football playoff in the last 2 years. So they've brought a little bit of a different perspective too. So we've got some really cool leaders on our team that have stepped up, but that have ultimately set the tone to be a conduit to the rest of the team of what it looks like and how we're going to go about our business on a daily basis. And I've been very impressed from our leadership committee standpoint of these guys really following our lead from a coaching staff's perspective, and then being that conduit to the locker room and then onto the practice field of what it needs to look like for us to achieve the level of success that we want to have come the fall.
Question on the front, and then we'll move over to the side right here.
Dean Blevins, News 9 Sports. Coach, you did mention a quarterback or two in that answer a minute ago. Wondering about Casey Thompson and where he is right now in your eyes, and a plan going in with apparently two quarterbacks vying for the position.
Yeah, so when I took over the job, I gave everybody a clean slate in our program. And clearly we at the quarterback position, in my opinion, the most important position in sports, have two fantastic players in Casey Thompson and Hudson Card. So we went through installing our offense in winter. We went through spring practice. We got 15 spring practices in. We've had a chance to visit post-spring and the things that we need to work on here in the summer. And then we're going to head into training camp. And I just didn't feel like 15 practices was enough to name a guy a starter in a brand new system, a brand new scheme with brand new coaches. I will say it is a little bit of a luxury for me to have two quality quarterbacks like this. Casey Thompson is a guy who's been in the program a little bit longer. Everybody remembers what he did in the Alamo Bowl with 4 touchdown passes in the second half. Very athletic guy, very driven, very focused, high football IQ, great leader. Hudson Card, tremendous passing ability, great instincts of passing the football. So we're in a good position. But at some point in training camp, I'm going to have to trust my gut, and I got to name a starter. And when we do, it's not going to be because the other guy didn't, gave the job up. They're going to make it tough on me, and that's what I told them. You guys need to make this decision as hard as you can on me. And because I named one guy the starter doesn't mean we don't need the other one, because the other guy's a play away. And in this day and age of college football, to think you're going to go, 13, 14 games all the way throughout a season with one quarterback probably isn't realistic. So we need to develop both of them. Both of them have huge upside. I love coaching them, and I think we're in good hands at that position.
Question on the aisle.
Hey, Steve, Brian Davis, Austin American Statesman. You're going to be the third coach in 8 seasons at Texas, and the previous 2 guys had top 10 recruiting classes and all the facilities and everything that you have as well. What is the missing whatever that's going to break this thing out of averageness and get the team back to here?
I kind of touched on this earlier. I haven't been focused, Brian, on what happened before me. I'm putting all our energy into what we're doing now. And I do believe in, at the end of the day, teams win championships. And locker rooms, facilities don't win championships. Big stadiums don't win championships. Bright lights don't win championships. Recruiting rankings don't win championships. I know everybody here wants to, name a national championship on signing day to whoever got the most 4 and 5 stars. You don't get a ring for that. You get a ring for winning games, for winning tough games in November and in December, in the fourth quarter, when you got to have that drive, when you got to get that stop. And that's what we're trying to instill in our team is, being the most mentally and physically tough football team that's committed, disciplined, and has a real level of accountability to the program first, to the team first. And doing that on a consistent daily basis. Not getting up for 1 game or getting up for 2 games, but that's just who we are on a weekly basis. And to watch this transformation happen for our guys, even in our winter conditioning, through spring ball, and now into summer conditioning, to watch the mentality continue to shift. That our guys recognize the importance of every single day, that we have to chase greatness every day. We don't pick and choose what day we're going to decide to work really hard. That's just who we are, and that's in our DNA. And there is no, like I said, there is no magical fairy dust to sprinkle to say, hey, all of a sudden now we've got these great schemes, we're going to be a good team. It is about the team first, and then they are the ones that make these plays come to life. And I think that our team is really starting to understand that And I hope all of you get a chance to visit, just even with the 2 players that we have here today, to get their take on it, because they're the ones that will probably tell you better than me about the mentality of the team and where we're at this juncture of the summer.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much. Time's up. We appreciate your conversation and answers, and best of luck for the season.
All righty, thank you all. Hook 'em.